Okay folks, now for probably the most famous part of this tart, the chocolate. So this is, again, this is probably 12 ounces, a little more actually, of extra dark chocolate chips with 63% cocoa. And we have a teaspoon of vanilla extract and just over a cup of heavy whipping cream, and that just goes into a pan. I'm going to turn it on up to about medium. We want to boil this cream, bring it right to a boil so that's hot enough to melt all that chocolate. It'll sit in that chocolate a minute or so. You can use a spatula or the pastry spatula to mix it once it starts to soften. Vanilla goes into the right into the cream. We'll put this vanilla, this is good stuff too, oh I love it, into the heavy cream. I was going to wait, let's put it in now. For some reason, and we just want to periodically stir this. Should we use the Grinch? No. Let's get it started. Bring that up some more. Medium-high heat. Make sure this is, oops. Yeah. Make sure this caramel, this caramel is firmed up. I don't want to touch it there. It's not even warm, barely warm on the bottom. We're almost done with this. If you could bake a cake, you know, you don't even have to have the knowledge of baking a cake. The caramel part can be a bit tricky, but this is really quite easy. You know, make it a family event in the kitchen. Okay, so it's heating pretty quick. You stir it so it doesn't develop a skin on there. When you start to see some bubbles on the side, of course, it's starting to get a lot hotter. But as soon as it starts boiling, you don't want a rolling boil. You know, that'll be too much. That's it'll just be way too hot. You still have to be careful with this. It can get really hot. There it goes. It's starting to get some bubbles on the outer edge of the pan. And stir it so it doesn't develop a skin in there on the surface of the heavy cream. And that's just where it solidifies. See, now we got a nice boil. So let's do this. I'll stir it a little more. Let's get it a little bit more intense. Yeah, oh, I can smell it. See, when you know you're right at the right spot, you can smell the vanilla. Okay, and then this will go over that chocolate. This over here. And where's my spatula? It's over there. So, turn the heat off. That's a good idea. And, you know, just let it sit a minute. I like to kind of dive into it. This is going to make a pretty decent amount of chocolate, folks. So, and if you have some left over, if you want to just keep it in the bowl, chocolate's worst enemy is water. If you have never worked with chocolate, don't even get a drop in it if you can. I usually I probably spend too much time drying my hands before I work with this chocolate. So don't get water in it. It'll break it up. It'll break the chocolate to where it's just like I guess you would call like if you were to prep hollandaise and it messes up to where it coagulates the eggs. That's kind of what happens when too much water gets in here. A few drops even can be really bad for chocolate. So it's melting now. So what I was going to say was, if you store this, don't put plastic wrap over the surface or just over the edge here. Press the plastic wrap down to where it touches the chocolate. Yeah, you're gonna lose a little bit of chocolate. It's a tragedy, but it preserves it if you wanna put it in the refrigerator, or just leave it out on the counter for a little while, or put it in the freezer. So yeah, avoid water contact with this, with chocolate, at least in the process. You don't want to get water on your finished chocolate either, I suppose. Okay, so yes, now it's getting darker. There's still some forms of chocolate chips in there. Yeah, I just fold it a little. And that heat's still on from it's not on, but the heat from the stove, that'll keep it warm. While you're mixing the vanilla and heavy cream into the chips, or if you use the baker's chocolate bars, break that up. I like the chips. It does melt a little quicker, and they're extra dark chocolate. I mean, it is. You can tell by looking at it that it is quite dark. Man, this is good. There. It's getting there. Just let it melt some more. But I gotta watch the camera battery. So yeah, this will melt. It'll continue to melt. You want it as smooth as possible. Remember, this is ganache. So it will solidify in the refrigerator or in the freezer when it comes to room temperature or colder. I keep my fridge around 36 degrees, sometimes 34. If you put this in the freezer, once you pour it onto the tarts, it's easier to slice that tart, obviously, but just as a reminder, it does help to freeze. I put it in the freezer for, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes, and when you cut into it, it won't fall apart as much, especially in these, or even if you use the springform tins. So yeah, I'll turn the camera off because I don't want to lose that battery, and let that melt some more.